The idea of the MCU doing a reboot after Secret Wars is very appealing to a lot of people, apparently. Now, I'm not personally one of those people that thinks the MCU needs a reboot because, we're in this phase right now where the MCU, they're trying to move on from their core characters that they launched with Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow. We still have Thor kicking around, but a lot of the characters that we came to know and love, they finished their stories in Endgame. We're moving on with new characters, and the new characters that they have moved on with on Disney Plus and in the movies, they haven't necessarily captivated the audience as much as those other characters did. So there's a lot of discussion going around now because the product seems to have dropped in quality that we need to just reboot the MCU. And it turns out that actually may be more of a reality, and it may be more on Kevin Feige's mind than we even thought, because this comes to us, guys, from Screen Rant, and this is the author of a new book called MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, Joanna Robertson. She is writing about the legacy of Marvel on the silver screen, the legacy of the MCU. She's got some exclusive interviews and words from Kevin Feige, and here's what she had to say about this situation. Speaking on the Watch podcast, author of the new Marvel book, MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, Joanna Robinson, dropped a bombshell that could change the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline massively. And this is her quote. We have a quote from Kevin Feige, sort of implying that, Secret Wars will serve as a soft reboot in which they can prune everything. That's not to use a Loki-ism. They'll prune everything that's not working and just keep what is working, or bring back people you thought were gone forever. I want to read that one more time, and I do not like that last. I'm just going to say it straight out. I do not like that last sentence. They said that Secret Wars will serve as a soft reboot, and they're just going to prune everything. Not like Loki, not to reference the Loki show, but they'll prune everything that's not working and just keep what's working, and maybe even bring back people you thought were gone forever. Now, this also goes on to say, diving into the MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios for the further hints, it's notable that the final chapter titled How Much We Have Left has the following paragraph close to the end relating a meeting with Feige that concluded with him revealing a poster from 1988 drawn by Ed Hannigan and Joe Rubinstein of hundreds of Marvel characters as an indication of how many new characters could come to the MCU. As the MCU spilled over into streaming programs and the multiverse saga, Feige had to learn different lessons from the comics, how superheroes periodically needed to be rebooted, how to stop variants and spin-offs from spiraling out of control, how an annual mega crossover even could unify a disparate line of characters. All right, so you got Kevin Feige, allegedly, based on what's being said in this book. Secret Wars is going to serve as a soft reboot. What's working, we're going to keep. What's not working, we're not going to keep. And we'll bring back some people that are dead. Now, let me talk about that last part right there. That would be where I would get really worried for the direction of the MCU at that point. Because even though I'm not someone who subscribes to the idea of rebooting the MCU, I mean, honestly, the box office has not been tanking that much. I mean, you can look at it and say there's been a decrease for sure, especially with the last few projects. But I don't think Marvel's at the point where they should hit the panic button. There's no real worry at the moment to be that concerned. Personally, I believe, anyways. I think the MCU is still pretty hot right now. But when you talk about a soft reboot, and you talk about we'll bring back some people, that you thought were gone forever. That tells me that what they're planning on doing is, oh, you know what? People liked Iron Man. People liked Captain America. People liked Black Widow. And these new characters that we just introduced, they're not as popular as those characters right now. Maybe we should bring back Iron Man, Captain America, and Black Widow and just do their stories again. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. Maybe way down the line, you talk about maybe 2030, maybe 2040. Maybe you reboot. Maybe you do a new Iron Man, a new Captain America. Maybe you do a new Black Widow. But so fresh off Endgame, with the perfect ending, in my opinion, for both Steve Rogers and Tony Stark's Iron Man, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in them bringing the characters back in a different form with younger, newer talent just to continue their stories because they were the most popular characters and these new characters aren't working. You got to work harder to make these new characters work. That's my opinion. Now, when it comes to pruning everything that's not working, that's a little bit more forgiving for me because when you look at the MCU, it is an incredible legacy. What the MCU has truly done in this industry cannot be understated. It is remarkable. It'll be talked about for years and years and years and years to come because you had a span of like 12 years where the MCU produced nothing but hit after hit after hit after hit. Not just critically, not just audience reception wise, but box office wise. They got to a point in phase 3 where almost every movie they put out made $1 billion. Coming together in Infinity War and Endgame making $2 billion. What that studio did and built this franchise cannot be understated. But what it also did in those 12 years and with all these projects and all these characters is admittedly the MCU has gotten really overcrowded. There's a lot of stuff going on in the MCU. You got a bunch of storylines over here. You got a bunch of characters here. Stuff is happening intergalactically. Stuff is happening in the spiritual realm. Stuff is happening on Earth. There's a lot of stuff happening in the MCU. And the thing about the MCU is when they start adding more characters and they start overcrowding this place, because there's so many characters, mostly centered in America, the world feels smaller. And because the world feels smaller and all these characters are stuffed into it, it almost feels like they should be shoulder to shoulder bumping into each other. So, at the end of Secret Wars, if you're looking at storylines, if you're looking at characters, sections of the world that aren't really resonating with audiences, aren't really working, yeah, I can see Secret Wars kind of ending in a way where maybe that maybe the Eternals, they didn't really latch on with people. Maybe the Eternals are gone from the MCU after Secret Wars. She-Hulk, maybe we just leave She-Hulk on Disney Plus. We have very limited connections to the MCU, and we just kind of keep her over there. If they were to do something like that, that's a little bit more accepting, in my opinion, I think, at this point, because it is an issue that the MCU has become this abundantly convoluted in a little bit of a way. But that last point about just rebooting it by recasting old characters that died. Hey, look, it's Tony Stark from World 8857, and now he's played by Owen Wilson. Whoa, that's crazy. Mobius, and now Owen Wilson's also Iron Man. Come on, follow Owen Wilson's Iron Man. No, not interested. Not interested. That's not how you're going to hook me. That's not how you're going to keep me invested. But that's just me, guys. What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of the MCU possibly getting a soft reboot after Secret Wars? Are you into that? Do you want to see the MCU reboot, kind of start fresh with a cleaner slate? Or do you want to just continue with the stories we've been following for the past over a decade? Comment down below and let me know, guys.